Wednesday, 1st of June. We are the half of the year. Can you believe it? So, thank you everyone for being here with us today. And today we do have a special guest, Roberto Watanabe from FEESP, São Paulo, State of São Paulo Spiritist Federation. So, it's a wonderful to have you here with us, Roberto. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stevan. Hello, Charles, Silvia, Elsa. Glad to be here again with you.
Good. Thank you. And also, as always, I shared my time here with these lovely friends. Elsa is back with us. And would like to say hello to everybody.
Hello, dear friends. It is really, as Stevan said, it is really nice to be back to London, to be back with you, to be back with this wonderful room and topics that we are discussing every Wednesday, 9 p.m. London time. Today, as Stevan said, our dear Roberto Watanabe, president of one of the biggest federation in the world, Spiritist Federation in the world. And for us, it's really a pleasure to see dear friends here, David, Nancy, Camille, and others that I was missing to see you all. Receive my hug. And Silvia, and Charles, and Stevan, and Roberto, and all people receive my hug and my love. Thank you all.
Great. Miss Gibbons, how are you, my dear?
Thank God, I'm really well, and it's wonderful to be here again. It seems like we're here together yesterday, because the week just flies by, and it's wonderful to see Elsa again with us, and to be able to be together with the grace of God. And we hope, and we know we're going to have a really good meeting today. So good evening, everyone. Welcome, and may God bless each and every one of us. Amen. Thanks.
Okay, and now we go to France. Our friend, Charles Kempf. How are you, my dear friend?
Bonsoir, Stevan. I'm fine, thank you. Hope the same for all of you. Very happy also Elsa is back with us, and also Roberto is again with us today. It's always a pleasure to hear him. We learn a lot. And particularly so about this theme today, what's happening in the world? Seems we are in confusion. Is it really sure that we will go to something better? So very eager to listen our dear brother Roberto Watanabe. Very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. So as usual, let's go to our video. Let me put it here.
Long before the first man appeared, the earth was already inhabited. It seemed that something had prepared an elegant design, fine-tuned for life to flourish. It took almost 13 billion years and many mutations and adaptations for us to begin to walk the planet. Amazed by nature around them, and especially above them, our ancestors soon began to try to understand the issues that still seem so relevant today. Who am I? Where do I come from? Where am I going? What am I doing here? Is there anything beyond what my eyes can see? We have a natural inclination to inquire, to explore, to ask. Countless attempts have been made to obtain the answers from north to south, in the Far East and the vast West. But the knowledge acquired soon became synonymous with power, and soon was disputed through violent struggles and countless wars. It was not long before the knowledge was fragmented, and each piece was treated as the only one. often hidden from the public. Men have divided the knowledge between what has been called religion, philosophy, and science. Religious accuse scientists of being possessed. Scientists accuse philosophers of being naive. Philosophers accuse religious of being irrational. And this dispute is still going on. From time to time, beings who seem to be ahead of their time emerged at different points of the globe in an attempt to appease these three great strands of knowledge. A recent proposal was initiated by Professor Hippolyte Denisard-Rivail. At that time, the theatres and concert halls of Europe and America were busy with performances where supposedly tables were moved by the spirits of deceased people. Rivail realized that something significant could be happening there. Is it possible to interview people already dead? If it were something done on a large scale, with scientific rigor and noble purpose, would open unprecedented learning fields for men on Earth. At first, skeptical of this possibility, Rivail had the idea of asking the same questions for several mediums, the people who claim to channel the spirits. Such mediums could not know each other, not live nearby, or understand the purpose of the research. This process would be legitimated by the fact that the letters with the questions at that time took weeks, even months, to be carried between different countries. Is there life after death? Can we be born again on Earth? Is it possible to communicate with those who have died? Why is there evil, inequality? What will life be like in the future? How to achieve happiness as an individual and as a society? What will the world be like when we know that we are both material and spiritual beings? These and many other questions were gathered in the Spirit's book, which will be explored in this series. Such knowledge is intended for free thinkers, since it does not propose exclusivity or hierarchy. It has neither leaders nor dogmas, a new paradigm that evolves and is updated, along with the scientific discoveries and the philosophical propositions, and does not leave aside the rational search for the much-desired reconnection with the Creator. And you, what do you think of this? Our journey is just beginning. Do not forget to check the description of the video for more research material. Stay tuned for the coming episodes.
Okay, again, thank you to Spiritus Academy for these wonderful videos. And today, our friend Roberto Watanabe will talk about signs of time. It's an important topic. I'm dying to listen to him, to see what he's going to bring to us today. So thank you. I also want to say thank you to all friends we are here today. Buonanotte, Nancy, Camille Brilla, David Encarnação, Sandra Coelho, Julia Neso, my friend. Good to have you here. Thank you. Andrea D, Gerson Natal. So I have more differences. I missed somebody. No, I said everybody. So thank you. And Roberto, I will put your deck here. Yeah. Okay, Lou, I know you're here. Lou VM, thank you. Thank you. Roberto, can you need to share, you are on mute, my friend.
You don't have my presentation there?
You don't have a presentation today?
No, I have it, but I thought it was with you. Let me share again.
Okay. Okay.
I think it's not. Just a second.
Also, we have Josia here. I'm here, please. I need your help. Serious.
Uh,
Josia,
can,
we have studies every Wednesday, 7 p.m. for introduction to these studies. If you want to, I can post the link for you in Facebook where you are, I don't know, or Stevan can post here the link so you can follow the episodes. 1, 2, 3. We are in episode 5 for beginners that wants to know more about Spiritism. Okay?
can you see now, Stevan?
Yeah, I can see. There we go.
Okay,
Okay. Good luck.
thank you. Okay, so I took this topic, Signs of the Times, from the Genesis, the book written by Kardec, the last chapter where Kardec talks a little bit about the current situation of the world at his time, and but that applies until now. So the idea is to take a look at the current situation of Earth today, and for that purpose, we are going back to this text from Kardec. And what Kardec says here is that the time set by God has come. So this time is meaning that is a time of a transformation of our planet. And then that's why he says that great events will occur for the regeneration of the humankind. Because he says that everything in the universe is subject to the law of progress, including our globe, our Earth. And our globe progress in both directions, physically through the transformation of the elements that compose it. We can remember, for example, when the prehistorical times, when we lived in caves, and now when we live in these beautiful buildings of today. But the globe also progress morally through, he says, the purification of the incarnate and discarnate spirit that populate it. Because we spirit always think that population of the world is not this, let's say, 7 billions of incarnate people, but also we have more than double this quantity in the discarnate world, in the spiritual dimension. So all of these are subject to the law of progress. But what he realized, Kardec realized at his time, in 1868 was when this book was published, so more than a century ago. And he realized that the humankind had made at that time, that is valid today, great progress in the philosophical and scientific side, but not that much on the moral side, let's say, right? That's why he says here that the humans have achieved the remarkable results regarding science, arts, and material well-being. That's valid today, but we are well behind in the moral side of our character, right? Because they have it, he said, and we can say today, still today, that we have yet to make charity, fraternity, and solidarity reign amongst us. So, therefore, a new order of things must be established, he says. So the transformation that he's mentioned here can occurs in two ways. We have some gradual, slow transformation or progress through time, but in some moment of time, there is a sudden changes, right? Because the Earth must go a step further in the progress. in that case, we have what he says here: a change as radical as is happening even today in our world, and this change is always followed with some commotion, is what he's saying here, right? What is this kind of a commotion? Because whenever we have some sudden changes, we have a commotion because people need to adapt to a new situation in a very fast way, right? So this commotion, he says, is not only disturbance on the physical elements. For example, tsunami, earthquakes, pandemic, and things like that, right? But also this commotion is caused by struggle of ideas, like the ones we can experience it in our world today, right? This conflict, this polarization of ideas, of concepts, the violence which result from this polarization, and even the war that we are going through today, and we went through that in the last century, right? Because so this is a commotion is a result of all of this, and this is necessary, Kardec says, because the time comes when the earth must ascend within the world hierarchy. So this is an interesting thing that he's mentioning here, because the earth must also ascend, must progress, right? So that's what he's saying here. And what is interesting to see is that when he wrote this book Genesis in 1868, he says that after nearly a century, Earth humanity is in the middle of a transformative endeavor. So that's very interesting, because if you were there in 1868 and we'll go back and 1 century ago, we will be closer to the French Revolution. So it means that this transformative endeavor started by the time of the French or even the American Revolution, right? So mainly with the ideas of the philosophers of the Enlightenment, right? Such as Voltaire, Rousseau, Diderot, Montesquieu, and other, right? D'Alembert. So that movement of ideas that resulted in these two revolutions is happening. This commotion, let's say, is happening since that time. The 19th century was a century of wars. Also, 20th century we have two great world wars. We have the experience of a totalitarianism, right? And even this century, the 21st century, it's something which would be unacceptable, but we are still experiencing a war just today, right? So this is the commotion that he says. So that's why he says humankind is being shaken on all sides. So since the 18th century, 19th century, 20th, and now 21st century. And everything indicates that this situation is going to last for maybe some centuries ahead, right? Because it will be very difficult to go through this change, right? So that's why he said that when a social revolution occurs on the earth, it also impacts the invisible world. So that is also something very interesting he's saying here, that when we had, for example, all the movement of the let's say the First World War, for example, was not people, incarnate people who was involved in that conflict, right? People dying on the war or things like that, but also the invisible world, or let's say that means the spirits also were involved in this conflict, like surely they are today, right, with our current war that we are experiencing. And then he said that all the good and evil passions become overexcited uh, on the spiritual realm, just as they are among us. So this is something interesting that Kardec saying here. It's not only a matter of incarnate people. And the progress of humankind, I already mentioned this, occurs in two ways. So one is gradual, and the others is marked by abrupt, quick movements. That is something that is happening now, although it is lasting some centuries already, right? Since the end of the 18th century until now. But some centuries in the eternity is almost nothing, right? So uh, surely we are going through abrupt, quick movements, which are all these revolutions, wars, and even um, catastrophe, physical catastrophe that we went through, right? So through these centuries, these little centuries. So that's the why he says that they are similar to those of a torrent breaking the dikes. And in which direction we are going to, right? That's what is important in all this scenario that we are seeing. We are going to the direction of a new order, a new social order, where fraternity will be the cornerstone, something that we still don't have today, right? So we are going into this direction, even if it doesn't appear that we are going to this direction, right? Because if a person look at the world today, he said, wow, fraternity will be something impossible for us to reach, right? But that is the goal that where we are going to, right? And because only moral progress, he says, can assure people of happiness on the earth, because this moral progress restrain the evil passions, right? One thing is we can think about is how this is going to occur, right? How moral progress will occur, how the evil passions that we still have today are going to be restrained, right? And so the moral progress also will bring down class prejudice. We have now this problem of prejudice here in Brazil or in the United States, the prejudice of racism, of gender, of religious beliefs, and so on, right? So forth. So these will also be silenced. These antagonists will be silenced, right? With the moral progress. So that's what is necessary today. Is what we mentioned in the beginning, right? Humanity has progressed a lot regarding the intellectual, science and philosophy and so on, but not in the moral progress, right? And the problem is that Kardec says that the number of stragglers is quite large. So there was lots of people who, let's say, are dominated by the inertia, right? So they are living in such a way today, which is not it is not adequate, but they don't want to change, right? So that's why he will defend, Kardec says, their ground with tooth and nail. So they don't want to change. But this is an unequal struggle, he says, because it is that of the stagnation or inertia against the progress. And because progress is something that is set by as a law, right? The law of progress set by God as a law. So the individual or some people cannot struggle with such God's will, because Kardec says the time set by God has come. So what needs to happen today, this transformation of our world, will necessarily happen, right? And what contribution Spiritism can bring to this situation, right? What Kardec says is that Spiritism make us to have a clear understanding of what is happening, right? So that's why he says his spiritualism opens up a new pathway to humankind. It shows our true role in creation. Why are we here, right? Where we came from, where we are going to, why we are here on Earth. Right? So all these kind of questions that humanity has been asking since the Greek philosopher, for example, philosopher was already asking about this, right? So 2060 years ago. So all these answers the spirituals bring to us. So with a clear understanding of what is our role in creation, then we can go through this transformation process, these commotions that it follows this transformation process. We can go through this all of this, right? With faith, with hope, and going through it, doing what we have to do. So that's what spiritually can help us, right, in this situation. So this is a short presentation that I prepared just to introduce this issue, and I think now we can discuss a little bit more if you have some questions or comments about that. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you. Can I take the screen out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Great. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for your wise words. Let's say that it was good the way you have touched these important points. And I have a question for you. Let me. I wrote here during. Since Kardec says that everything is subject to the law of progress, could you please uh, tell us a little bit more about this concept? What Kardec means with the law of progress?
Yeah, the law of progress is something that Kardec mentions in the third part of the Spiritist book, the moral laws. Right? Law of progress is one of the 10 moral laws that Kardec has written about that there in the Spiritist book. But we can go in the second part of the Spiritist book, and we can acknowledge there that in the question 115, the Spiritists asking to question to Kardec, they say that God has created all spirits, simple and ignorant, without any knowledge. And but God has given that means us, right? And God has given us a mission, each of us a mission, and that mission is each of us must reach perfection. So that's the law of progress, meaning that although we were created simple and ignorant, we have already this condition to reach perfection, not the absolute perfection, because absolute perfection only God has, right? But a relative perfection to God. That's why we say that the spirit progress infinitely, right? There is no end point to this progress. And I think the law of progress that Kardec mentioned there is the base for all these concepts. Because when we say that the Earth, our Earth, for example, evolves, progress, of course, that the Earth by itself does not progress. Everything that progress on Earth is related to the spirit's progress, right? So that I think that way we could understand this law of progress. And Kardec says there that the spiritual progress in two ways, on the intellectual side, which is science and philosophy, for example, on the video, and also on the moral side, which is related more to the religion side, right? And what happens is that not we don't progress in the same let's say in the same way on the intellectual and moral. What happens is that we can go more on the intellectual side and less on the moral. And that's what happened with the humanity, right? Or the humanity on the earth. And that's why the reason for such a transformative process that we talked about today. And that this progress is going to occur anyway if we are well ahead in intellectual progress but not in moral progress. We need to realize we accomplish this moral progress also. It's something that the Spiritist Emmanuel says that we progress by developing two wings, right? Wings. The wisdom and love. So wisdom is the intellectual, and love is the moral. So that is something that is necessary. I don't know if you clarified the concept, but that is the what we can see by the Spiritist book.
Can I ask my question?
Yes.
Sure, of course.
If my voice fail, Stevan can read for me my question because I type here, okay?
Okay.
So Kardec says, Roberto, that our globe is also subjected to the law of progress, since Spiritism declares that all the globes are inhabited. How can we classify them according to their stage of progress?
Yeah, that is on the Gospels according to Spiritism, chapter 3, where Kardec, Spiritism says that all the globes of the universe are inhabited, right? So one of the basic principles of Spiritism, we have many basic principles, right? In the Spiritism, we have God is a principle, the immortality of the soul, reincarnation, law of progress, the communication between the physical and spiritual world, let's say, put it that way, and also the plurality of the inhabited worlds. So, as Spiritism defends that all globes are inhabited, Spiritism also says that these globes can be classified according to the level of progress. It's not actually the progress of the globe itself, right, or of the planet, let's say, but it's the progress of the humanity that inhabits that planet or that globe. So in that sense, we can see there on the chapter 3 of the Gospel according to Spiritism that we have five. We can classify in 5 stages, right? And so we have the primitive world, where we have the first incarnation of the Spirit. So we can think that, for example, that when we just said that God created all spirits simple and ignorant. Well, when they are created in this starting point, then we start to incarnate on the primitive worlds. So that's where we can understand it that way. And then after that, we have the worlds of trial and expiation, who are worlds where the humanity of that world are still very imperfect. So in this kind of a world, we have the evil predominates, right, rather than good. And then after that, we have the regenerative world, where we don't have a predominant, nor neither evil nor good are predominant. They're in a kind of equilibrium. And then after that, we have the happy world, where God, good predominates. And above all that, we have the heavenly or divine world. Well, the habitations, Kardec says, of the purified spirit. So that is some kind of classification that we can we can think about of these many worlds, many inhabited worlds in the universe, like the classification that Kardec mentions on the question 100 of the Spirit's book, right? When he also make a kind of a stage of evolution of the spirits, from the impure to the pure, right? So that way we can classify, right, these many worlds that we have in the universe.
Thank you, my friend. And we do have a question here from Camille Brilla.
Mm.
And the question is, do we know if we are doing well as a humanity? I often wonder about that, as I see a lot of good, but also a lot of negligence. How can one quantify where we are with moral progress at the moment?
Yes, we can know if we are doing well or not as a humanity. So we can say that today in our world, we still are not doing good, right? Because let's say in this classification that I mentioned, Earth is classified as a world of a trial and expiation, where evil predominates. So if evil predominates, it means that the instinct, the passion still predominates. Right? So, and the as we can study on the 50th chapter, on the chapter 5 of the Gospel according to Spiritism, uh, depending on the action that we have the consequences. So if we in a world dominated by passions, by instinct, by evil, the consequences is suffering, right? And that is what we are seeing today in our world. We have still a world. Our Earth is a world of deep inequality, right? Is a world of conflict. We are we are seeing each day the news about the war, right? The war that happened there in the Eastern Europe. But there are many other conflicts happening around the world that are not that much covered by the news. And this conflict with polarization of ideas, with violence, with war, the the environment that we are destructing, and with all the consequences, these climatic changes that we are going through. So all this shows that we are not doing well. Still, are not doing well as a humanity. We have a longer way to go ahead, right? To to uh, to say that now we are going to doing well. So quantify, as she's asking here, quantify, I think it's she's, right? Camille, she's. Um, Quantify with moral progress at this moment, I would say that, well, I could say that we are almost reaching the bottom of our worst scenario, because we are going through this transformation process, because we need to go to reach the bottom, but then we can elevate again, right? So I would say that the the situation regarding moral progress now in the earth is not that good uh, at all. There is another
Thank
question here,
you.
right?
Well, and now I have another question here, but let's follow the queue. Charles, do you have any question?
Yes, just no, I will come later with a question. Sorry for this.
Okay.
But just
So,
say,
Silvia?
there is a question from Nancy, and I have a question after her question.
From Nancy.
Yes,
From
22.
David, right?
No, I see a question
David.
from David.
Yeah, from David.
She's there is a question quite before, quite early
22
on.
hours and 22 minutes.
Oh, I got it. Yeah. Okay.
Let's see.
Okay. So, Silvia, do you want to go before or after Nancy?
No, let the people ask the questions.
Yeah, let's go and answer the question from Nancy. Emmanuel told Chico Xavier things will start to be better around 2057. Which are your thoughts about it?
Well, considering the situation we are going through now, 2057 is too close, right? So it's little 35 years from now. I I don't know, but I think it's too early for that because well, and also in spiritism we don't make any forecast about time, right? But on certain years something will happen. We just cannot have some kind of a forecast in spiritism because we have the main thing that is the goodwill, right? The free will, right? So humanity has free will. So we can reach a better situation in 2057, but we also cannot, right? Depending on how we acted in these 35 years. Considering the situation today, I think is a little bit early. I think we were going through this process since the end of the 18th century, right? The French Revolution, and I think that we are going to go through this process some centuries ahead, because transformation does not happen from day to night, right? There is many processes that are happening. Right? Kardec says that in the Genesis also. There is a replacement of a generation, things like that. High order spirits that are incarnating in on our planet. Those who are still very attached to evil are going will be invited to go to lower worlds. So there is this kind of things that Kardec mentioned. But anyway, the population of the Earth, we have 7 billion incarnate, and let's Emmanuel says that we have at least 2 or 3 times more of a discarnate. So for all these people to be involved in this progress, it takes time, right? So it takes time. That's what I think, right? But anyway, as I said, we cannot put any forecast regarding this. Free will is the main thing here.
Yes, thank you, Roberto, for the answer. So I think when Nancy is writing, things will start to be better. And just things are better every day after each day. Yeah, each day there is a progress. There is something better. The problem is due to this crisis which are happening. We and since the medias are stressing and focusing so much on this particular crisis, showing the bad things rather than the good things, we may be a little bit misled in our perception, thinking that the things are going worse. But I think no, the things are getting better every day. When we look back 200 years ago, as you told Roberto, since the French Revolution, they were still cutting the head of the people in the guillotine and so on. So this is finished now, at least in France. So the things are becoming better every day. We see the progress very clearly. Now, I think I fully agree with you, and I appreciated a lot this argument. For if we have 20 billion of spirits around the times that they reincarnate, all of them need to have a last chance
Yeah,
to incarnate and to try to become better and so on. So this, as you tell, takes time and some
yeah,
centuries. So I think we maybe today, after 2 centuries and something, somewhere in the middle, but it still may take so many centuries ahead. Don't you think so?
yeah, for sure. Now that's interesting point that you raise, Charles, because the spirit Bezerra de Menezes, I don't know if our colleagues here know have heard about one of his communication. He says that there are lots of spirits who are so dominated by evil that they are put aside on the lower dimension, let's say. And in this transformative process, they are having their let's say there's less chance to to stay on the earth or to go to a lower world. So uh, these for all these people to have the chance to incarnate and have this, let's say, last chance, it will take time also, right? So I think it's like we can count them by billions also, maybe. So, for the other hand, you're right also, Charles. I'm stressing here the negative side of our current situation, but you're right. Progress is always happening. Because law of progress, right? So we are progressing. No? The only things that we are progressing more on this intellectual side, not that much on the moral side. But even in this situation, we also can say that, for example, we say that the evil still predominates in our earth, but it doesn't mean that all of us are dominated by evil, right? We could say that the most of the inhabitants of our earth are good people, right? So and that we can see also in the spiritual book in the end, where Kardec says why evil predominates on earth, right? And the answer from the spirit is something that we are shamed by the answer, because the answer is because the goods are very shy, right? Uh, the goods are the majority, but they are shy. So the bad, let's say the evil ones, are few, but they predominate because they make lots of a noise, right? So that's interesting. To also to point here to put also a optimistic side here, right? A positive.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So many questions here now. So, um, let's go on here from David. David
David.
Encarnação made a lot of questions here, but uh, let me put it here. So we still have 10 minutes. So Silvia, don't worry, be ready with your question. I didn't forget about you, my dear.
Sorry, it's better to answer the questions that people are asking. I don't mind at all.
Yeah. Why is the neutral word described as regenerative rather than good word? Is good word not regenerative as well? What's better than regenerative?
Well, the definition that the Spiritists give us on that chapter 3 that I mentioned from the Gospel according to Spiritism is that the regenerative world is the world where souls who still have something to expiate may absorb new strength by resting from the fatigue of struggle. I should say I should say the following, David. We know that today we are in a world of trial and expiation. So we have all these transformative process. We have the pain, we have the suffering, we have the wars, we have conflict, we have inequality, people dying of famine and disease and all of that. So after
Thank
we
you,
go
Gibbons.
through this process, we must have some rest, right? So of this shocking process. So that's what we will have on the regenerative world. So it's a world where good is still not don't predominate, but the evil neither. So it's a kind of a balance in the situation where we can well have the strength, concentrate our strength to go to a further step, which is the happy world. And in this happy world, there we have the predomination of good. So regenerative is also a kind of a transition world, if we can put it that way, right? Between the trial and expiation, where evil predominates, and happy, where good predominates. So in the middle of this, we have the regenerative. The Spirit says in the there on the chapter 3 that a person who is on the regenerative world, which I believe will be most of us of us today, we still have to struggle with our own imperfection, and we can still when can even go back. The Spirit says depending on how we act, we can go back to the trial and expiation world. So is a world where we will concentrate strength to go ahead. Is this situation? So it's not yet a good, let's say, a world where good predominates. This will happen also only on the happy world, right?
Great. Thank you, my friend. So, Silvia, would you like to say your question?
Well, I like to make a point, actually. I agree with you about in most of the things you said. I think, but I personally feel that we already are in the world of regeneration. I think it's just that the old world will scream and shout and really try to hold on to their power. So that's the conflicts I think we're seeing now. But on the other hand, I think was mentioned by Charles and you and Elsa and Stevan even, that we are, on the other hand, most of the people on this planet are good, or at least they are reasonable people. And because otherwise we wouldn't be able to survive. And we are. I think, in the last 2 years that we've seen an incredible transformation of our planet and of moral, of people. And we saw as well that the intellectual part that it's growing very fast. Unfortunately, it doesn't go hand in hand with love and charity, but at least it's moving, and that part is coming closer to it, because we were able to, in 10 months, find a vaccine that for a disease that was killing indiscriminately, like a wildfire going through the world. And, this intellect, this knowledge that mankind has already achieved, has been able to, and many other diseases as well, even 30, 40 years, 50 years ago, if anybody had cancer, it meant they were going to die. that was absolutely inevitable. But nowadays, most people survive and they live good and productive lives, after going through treatments and everything. So in many ways, things are changing, because I think we need to sort of hold on to the good things, because I think Charles mentioned the fact that we have the press. We'd always see everything ugly. And there are a lot of things that are not very good. But this is all part of trying to hold on to the past. And now the new people, the new children that are coming to this world, they are so much lighter than, even we were. And I think this is part of the process that humanity has to go through. And I think also, we mentioned, we talked before, because this is being predicted by the prophet Daniel, and then Jesus in the sermon, in the prophetic sermon that you can read it in Matthew and the Gospel of St. Mark as well, that he, when you read that, you feel that you're actually living it. The words jump out of the book and say, oh my God, that's what we're going through. And I find as well that there must be a reason why we are here now. And I think for me personally, there must be lessons that I need to learn. And I find that Spiritism gives me a lot of comfort, gives me a lot of hope, makes me joyful and hopeful that the future is going to be better. And, even in the last century, I think as bad as it is better than it was. Even 40 years ago, even 50 years ago. I mean, we saw the war in Vietnam that was absolutely atrocious. And we've been through 2 world wars in 1 century. And plus, as you said, there were so many wars going on. Even now, there are lots of wars going on. But people are more aware of it now. They are more, you have, we had a demonstration here in London that over nearly 2 million people came out in the street to say, we don't want a war. Though the politicians go on with it anyway, but it means that a lot of people are coming out and saying, no, we don't want war anymore. So that is very slowly, step by step, but I think we are already in the world of regeneration, and I think we need to really hold on to what is positive and what's good. And we cannot change the world, but we can change the world around us. We can be more kinder, we can be more understanding, we can be more loving to people. And if every person do a little bit of that, then the world will be much easier, and we will reach regeneration, because as you said, Roberto, it's all to do with free will and what we want, isn't it? So I just wanted to feel that we need to think what is good and positive as well, because otherwise we get so despondent.
Fingers crossed.
No, fingers crossed. No, take the shovel and go off to work. Not cross your fingers, stay there. Go there. Let's make it a better world.
Yeah, I would say, Silvia, that in the world of regeneration, I don't think we are ready. But what I agree with you is that being in a regenerative world is a matter of a conscience. So we can live in a trial and expiation world, but if we are not following the ideas of such a world, if we are thinking in another ways like we are doing now, I think in our conscience, and that I agree with you. You in your conscience, you are already in a regenerative world, but I believe that you still live in a trial and expiation, because it's not possible such a world as we have today, right? So these terrible crimes that are happening on the wars, on the violence, we here in Brazil, the problem of violence is to women, to children, is something to black people, to poor people, is something that is unacceptable at all. Right? So I think in that way, I'm not want to be negative here, but I think we have lots of progress to make in this sense. And what is interesting also is that Kardec mentioned Genesis. That and I think in some way I would ask the answer this next question from David, where he said, "What organizations, as well as spiritism, do you believe will be leading the transformation?" Well, I would say that not only Spiritism, but a lot of other organizations. And what is one thing interesting that Kardec mentions that not only Kardec, also Bezerra de Menezes, Joana de Angelis, also Emmanuel, all of them says, even Kardec, that a new generation is coming. And this new generation of spirits, they will work in lots of areas. So not only the religion, right, but on science, on politics, on education, on art, and these are the spirits that will lead this transformation. So it's not. I would say to David, it's not exactly organizations, but people who will come and that will lead the world in that way. Yes, they will lead organizations in this transformative process. So when that happens, then I think we want to have the situation like we have it today, right? Because only even in the politics side, we are also are going through a let's say a crisis, right? The crisis of democracy is under a crisis because um, people does not believe anymore on their representatives because their representatives are thinking more about their interest rather than the interest of the society or those who are represented or those who they represent. So this kind of a process, when we have this new generation, I think that will something that will make this happen because unfortunately uh, for the good or for the bad, are the leaders are the ones who lead the process, right? So I think that way. I think in today on Jesus, on let's say on Buddha, on Newton, on all these on Abraham Lincoln. So on all the fields of the human action. That's why I believe.
Yeah, thank you, and we are over time already, but I cannot say we have here a message from Camille, and my dear, I don't know if I can show this put it here, but thank you for your message. You are an example for us. You have courage, and everything is gonna be okay. I'm pretty sure. And once again, thank you for your words. Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you. And Roberto, once again, thank you, my friend. Okay. She
You are
said I can show, so
Thank you.
I'm putting here. I have cancer at the moment, and I'm grateful to be living in this time and be able to be healed. And grateful for having a husband who gave me back what I lost, which is God.
that's wonderful.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you.
Olha o que ela escreveu sobre o espiritismo. Espiritismo should
Okay,
be
yeah,
everywhere.
she wrote a lot of things. Spiritism should be everywhere because it provides answers people are looking for in this time.
Yeah, right.
And also, she said, I have felt lost after failing out with Catholic upbringing, and Spiritism offered me all the answers. And also, Spiritism being here is the big step to regeneration.
Well,
Wow.
she's in her conscience is already in the regenerative world.
Yes, 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 yes. So, thank you all of you, Elsa Lee, Camille, Nancy. I even see here Paula Zamp. Wow, years, many years I don't see Paula Zamp. Years,
Rossi is
years,
from FEESP. She's from
years,
FEESP.
years. Marcos
She
Navarro,
coordinates
Julia
courses in
Nesio.
FEESP, Roberto.
And
All right.
she's an educator here, and she's a
Yeah.
singer. She's a singer.
Yeah, yeah. Well, uh, I was a teenager and was listening here.
Uh, she sings wonderfully.
It is amazing, amazing, amazing. Okay, so let me go very quickly here with the announcements. And okay, so next week, miracles and predictions according to Spiritism. And we will have our friend Rodrigo Ortega with us. So it's wonderful, my friend, to have all here. So don't forget, next Wednesday, 9 p.m. And we still have our introduction to Spiritism. It's 7 webinars. We are in the 5th one, so don't miss this. Every Wednesday, 7 p.m. London time. And this is our non-stop shows. Every Wednesday, coffee break with Kardec. Every other Tuesday, we have time to talk and a study of this book, Nosolar. And every Saturday, 10:30 a.m. London time, we have the online course about the book, The Medium's Book. Okay? That's it. This is it from us today. Thank you very much, Roberto. I cannot say thank you. It's not enough.
No.
And thank you, FEESP, for the opportunity to share this moment with us as well. And this is to prove that Spiritism, there is no boundaries. And this is something we needed to learn. Okay?
Yeah.
So, and my friends, Elsa, thank you.
Thank you all.
Miss Gibbons, thank you. Charles,
Thank you. Good night. God bless.
merci.
Bye,
I'll see you
Roberto.
all
Nice
next
to
Wednesday.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye bye. Au revoir.
Bye.
Hi, Julia.
Au revoir.
Ta-ta.